Okay, it's time to storm the prison. So, like I said, this is an indoor map. We've got quite a few enemies here. This is also our first Seas chapter. It's kind of strange. They're not giving us a Seas mission until 7, well, 8 if you count the prologue, 9 if you count the last chapter as 2 chapters in. Given that Seas was the first objective ever in Fire Emblem, it's kind of interesting that we're not getting one until this late. Also, let me, actually I can't actually show this unless I go to Jill here. And Fiona. So, mounted units lose 2 movement in indoor maps in this game. But horse-mounted units suffer more than flyers because, see these ledges? I talked about how ledges work back in 1.2. Horse-mounted units obviously can't climb ledges. So, yeah, Fiona's first chapter is really not kind on her. Jill, however, can just fly straight over them. In fact, does she have the hammer, or did I give that to Nolan? Yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to choose whether to give the hammer to Nolan or Jill on this map. But for now, I might actually give it to Jill. Although, the hammer is pretty, 17 weight. That's going to be weighing her down a lot. And the Armor Knights in this chapter have decent speed. For now, though, I'm going to give it to Jill. So, as for the actual enemies here, we've got, like, the majority of the enemies around level 12 to 13. So, we're actually a little over-leveled at this point because I'm not training a lot of characters. But this will definitely help later on, and this guy's got a decent amount of speed for an Armor Knight. That's kind of the case with a lot of Armor Knights in this game. But also notice that we have a sort of a central courtyard here that has a lot of opportunities for enemies to get height bonus attacks on you. So definitely bear that in mind. We do have some enemies that have droppable door keys, the majority of them being soldiers. And we have some mages that are ready to attack us from down here. So Wind Magic actually got a buff in this game. It's now decently powerful. Just 1 lower than Fire, and Thunder got horribly nerfed. There's also a couple of archers here who, in my experience, don't move. And the boss here. Yeah, we're already seeing capped stats. In fact, his resistance is almost capped too. And also he has a Storm Sword, which is the upgraded version of the Wind Edge. Only 50 accuracy, which on this guy is not great, but on Swordmasters, 50 accuracy is nothing. They just hit all the time with that. And there's a Javelin guy over there. So, this is also the first chapter where we can't deploy our entire team. We have to kick out some people. And yeah, that means I'm so sorry, Ileana, because I really want Jill, and I probably want Zehawk too. Tormod was highlighted in red because he's not usable on this map. I guess it's time to get rid of Leonardo. These 3 are still compulsory, and I wish you could deploy Micaiah a little closer to these armors, because I really want her to get some Paragon experience, but yeah, that's kind of a problem at this point. For now, I think I'll have Nolan climb up these stairs. Aaron attacks that soldier. How much speed is it? 13. Aaron's got exactly 13. Well, that's kind of a problem. Definitely want Edward to go over here and fight against these enemies because they're all either axe or sword users. And at this point, I don't really mind where Zehawk goes. Jill's probably going to fly down this way. In fact, she has some special conversations in this chapter. And speaking of special conversations, Soth is going to head this way too, for reasons. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I think I'll give Volug some of my door keys. Only 1 use left, but I'll take that. Is there any other items that I could potentially bring here? I don't think anyone's going to be needing to Master Seal themselves, so as always, I'll save here on the preparation screen, and then we'll move out. Time for our second jailbreak of part 1. Except last time we were the jailbreak E, now we're the jailbreakers. And we've got this song again, which it's still not my favorite song in the game by a long shot, but it's okay, I guess. This is pretty much the only song we'll be hearing for the rest of part 1, map theme-wise. I love that synchronized lance tap there. Or spear, I don't know. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people think that the translation from the Japanese is actually spear, not lance, but lance kind of sounds cooler. Nice superfluous cancel there. So that's you gone. And now, yeah, next up, I'll need to... Yes, Nolan can get there. That means both of those things can attack him, which is good. Don't want Soft to get too overwhelmed here, and he's going to go over here and try and lure in these armors, and he's going to have to with a bronze knife because one of them is a javelin. And I want Micaiah to Thani nuke one of them. Suppose I can have Jill fly up here too. I don't believe there's anything on this map that can hit Jill for weakness damage, so that's also pretty cool. Send Volog up there, and everyone... Yeah, Aaron might need healing soon, so Laura's going to go around there. Still deploying Laura because I'm going to be needing healing. And we'll be getting extra help on this front soon, I'll just say. So Zehawk, I think, will... Although, actually, doesn't he have... I guess he can always jump down the ledges if that's the case. Was kind of hoping you'd do that, because I want experience on Jill more than I do on Soph. Yeah, I don't think Wyverns look, still don't look amazing in this game, but they do at least look better than they did in Path of Radiance, so that's fine. Though her Wyvern looks oddly, it's a weird thing to say this, but naked. I'm used to them having a lot of armor. But that will change once Jill promotes. I'm also still not entirely sure why they, reverted the class names back to the Japanese names of Rapper Knight and Dragon Master, but... Especially since the game's direct prequel was still said Wyvern Rider. Okay, yeah, here's where Wind Edges can have accuracy issues. Not doubling, but that's to be expected. That was a Myrmidon after all. I guess the hammer could have helped here. I'm surprised you're doing more damage than I am. Like I said, Nolan is getting a little bit defense screwed in this run. Did I positively jinx it? I did not. But more speed and strength is always good. And that second armor didn't... Wait, other phase? Why is there another phase? We're about to find out. I actually like the way they do that. So, you're new, but you'll recognize the other two from Path of Radiance, and this is why I sent Soph this way, obviously. Well, he does have the Celerity skill still. Unlike Soph, he hasn't lost one of his unique skills in the last game. Kind of interesting, Celerity is justified by Maureen teaching him. And we get this song again. I was just going to say, it's kind of weird that you can remove Celerity from Tormod in this game. We didn't really need help at this point, but we'll take it. I've only ever used Tormod in one playthrough in the last game. Yes, if only Ha were here, then this chapter would go very differently. And yeah, so those two only get extra lines if they're deployed. And you're giving us tutorial dialogue. Tormod's actually pretty awesome in this chapter, from a story standpoint at least. I love how they immediately start running away. Tormod actually had a support with Soph in the last game. So, as you can see, Soph can talk to both of them. And yeah, I thought that Jill and Zehawk could also speak, so I will have to bring Zehawk down here. So I believe what has to happen here is that Soph needs to talk to Tormod. But I can have Soph talk to Maureen. Is there anyone who can shove him a few spaces forward? Don't think so, not from my current position. So Morim actually had special boss dialogue with Soph back in Path of Radiance, which is interesting. Well, it's kind of obvious. I feel like this made a little more sense in Japanese, but anyway. No recruitment though. Yeah, Soph has to talk to Tormod. But at least I can show their stats for now. Tormod's pretty strong for this point, and I mean that literally as well as figuratively, because look at that strength stat on a mage, and when I show his growth rates, it's even better. Vika is a showing of just how fast Ravens get in this game, and Morim is crazy for this point. However, there's a catch to all three of them, and it's a catch that I'll be talking about not so lovingly very soon. I thought you would be doubling with the hammer, but 40 damage is pretty cool. Let's, I guess, just use the Tentacle Horse and Armor Neutralizing Incantation. As you can see, though, these guys still one-shot Micaiah. But it only takes, seems like, 2 enemies from Micaiah with Paragon to level up. Let's hopefully get that guy. If I don't get that guy with Jill, I might be in trouble because enemies move before green units do. Just realized something. I feel like... This is interesting. Like, the hammer is a one-shot, but this is technically more reliable. Hitting both of these with 97 under true hit is much, much more likely than hitting 177. But a 77 is pretty likely under true hit, but if it's a miss, Micaiah dies, so I don't want to take that risk. And Armonite still clank very slowly towards you. Another level up for Jill. She levels up pretty quickly. No strength again. You have become Nephany for my Path of Radiance playthrough. I really hope that changes. However, unlike Path of Radiance, Bonus Experience means that you can easily fix RNG screwed stats once you count your other stats. So it's not the end of the world if you start failing to gain important things. I was about to say I'm disappointed you're not doubling, but at the very least you are one-shotting. Or at least doing enough to finish this thing off. Now I'm remembering that, when I was doing my hard mode playthrough of this game, at this point I was watching Critical Role in the background, and it was the episode Steam and Conversation. So that should tell you how long ago it was since I played this on hard. It's funny, I normally remember places that I visited in real life based on the games I was playing at the time, but now I'm remembering, I don't want to waste the Brave Sword, but I also... I mean, I suppose I can have Zehar finish you off if Edward somehow misses. But he didn't. But yeah, now I'm remembering... Now I'm remembering the game I was playing at the time by other stuff that was going on at the time. Okay, I don't want Nolan to go too far in because he's actually a little bit not good on the defensive front at this point. 23 attack and 25. I think if Nolan does go here, he needs to heal. So I'm actually going to go over here, I'm going to equip that, and you're going to need a new hand axe soon, I think, and then I'm going to use the Ant Herb. While I could do that, that would probably result in that Archer suiciding into Zehar, and that's not exactly what I want at this point. Just equip the Iron Sword for now, and Volug will... I think for now he's going to hang back, because I don't want these things all dying to him. And let's just heal you for now. I believe there are reinforcements that spawn from your starting point eventually. I really hope they're not spawning now. Something that I haven't mentioned yet about Laura is, if you are going to be promoting her, you're probably going to end up using a Master Seal at level 10, because this game makes it very hard to train healers due to the changes to bonus experience and the fact that stars don't give as much experience as they used to. So, Good luck getting Laura at level 20 during part 1. Tormod's a little hurt, but he should be fine eventually. Most enemies die in one round to Tormod at this point in the game. And most things will die to Morim at this point in the game in one round, except he doesn't have any form of range attack. Vika, I'm kind of worried about, so... Her speed's amazing, but she's a little fragile. And there are archers on this map. Thankfully no crossbows, that would be really bad. Speaking of really bad, I'm glad Zihart couldn't get attacked by 3 things this turn. Maybe I should have given him resolve. That is fine. In fact, you're probably dead. Yes, you are. Very few enemies in this game want to fight Wyvern Riders. Please don't be stupid, you 3. Good, yeah, they're actually a little bit conservative with their movement until you recruit them. And this is how you do it. So we have the actual recruitment theme this time, and this is an amazing line incoming. And Salt's response is great too. Yeah, these conversations probably make a little more sense if you got Salt and Tormod supports in the last game. So, mysterious. We'll have to wait until later. But, talking to Tormod recruits all 3 of them, so they are no longer suffering from NPC-itis. And that means I can go over their bios now. So first, Tormod. Before I talk about any of Tormod's crew as individuals, I need to bring up the one massive drawback that all 3 of them suffer from. All 3 of them are very strong for this point in the game, and for the rest of part 1, they're all very useful. And then they all leave and won't be playable again until literally right before endgame, and their stats haven't changed. Their stats might look good now, but by part 4 endgame standards, they're terrible. That being said though, Tormod is still useful for part 1. He's able to double and one-round kill most enemies with Hellfire, and he also starts with Celerity, giving him a lot more mobility than your average mage. Sadly for Tormod, Celerity is not exclusive to him in this game. You can remove it and give it to other characters, and it's highly recommended you do this before part 1 is over, because otherwise that's a lot of the game that you're missing out on +2 movement for. Tormod's growths don't really matter because his availability is pretty much non-existent, but I find it hilarious that he has a 55% strength growth on a mage. Yep, he's a mage with a higher strength growth than magic. But again, it's not like that matters when your availability is non-existent. In summary, great now, pretty much useless when he returns. Now you... Morim's transform stats are ridiculous for this point in the game. He'll one-round kill the vast majority of enemies in melee. Heck, even untransformed, his strength is a match for most of the best physical fighters at this point. He also has great movement and really good shoving utility. But just like Tormod, he leaves when part 1 ends, and by the time he comes back, it's almost the end of the game, and his stats are all terrible. It's sad, but there's really not much more I can say about him. And you. Vika is the only new face among Tormod's crew, but she suffers from the exact same problems the rest of them do, which is a real shame because if Vika had more screen time, she could probably be pretty decent, both as a character and in gameplay. She actually has some of the best growths in the game, but again, it's not like she'll be using them much. She's also the first non-royal raven that we recruit in either game. And Bird Lagoos are interesting in Radiant Dawn because they're some of the few classes to have both Shove and Canto, though that does take up a lot of capacity. Vika also starts with another skill that's kind of like Volug's Howl. It's exclusive to birds, and takes effect when the enemy tries to use an indirect attack. Its effect is reducing the enemy's luck to 0, which is honestly not that good of an effect. Most people suggest removing this skill from Vika at the end of part 1 and transferring it to the part 3 party to Cell, which is really sad. Other than that, Vika is okay in part 1. She probably helps the least of Tormod's crew, She has really good speed, but she doesn't hit all that hard and takes a while to transform. And again, just like the rest of them, her availability is pretty much non-existent, so don't expect her to be seeing much use after part 1. Yeah, those 3 suffer from a pretty major problem in this game, which is actually really sad because I think I said it in her bio, but Vika, I think Vika had a lot of potential. Oh yes, and Paragon does apply to sacrifice experience too, so that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I can have Jill fly out there, and she won't even get attacked by that thing. So even with the nerf to their movement, flyers are still very, very useful in indoor maps, which is more than conducive to cavalry. I do like that they nerf Paladins since Path of Radiance, but they buff Wyvern Riders way too much and made them horribly broken. But it's partially because Wyvern Riders don't suffer from a majority of weaknesses that cavalry do. Like, they can climb ledges, and yeah, well, I mean, I suppose it's only natural that I don't double the Archer, because Archers are supposed to be the faster class. And that is not Thunder, so I don't need to worry about criticals, hopefully. Let's just smack this guy. I like how you can see the cells there. I just realized there is another reason why there was an other phase. There are green units in the cells. And we have a door key now. So I can have Nolan open the cell doors, or you can try and break them down. They're not even... Okay, let me just... So, I know that the place we were escaping from in 1.3 was itself a prison, but random door in that place's courtyard, 30 endurance. Actual cell doors, 20 endurance. Yeah, Bednion, you don't exactly... I mean, they probably repurposed a day in prison, but still. Prison security here is not the best, let's just say. A little bit annoyed that you aren't doubling, but once you can, you're probably going to camp skill soon, and once you do, things should get better. And now Laura really need... Yeah, I'm going to actually retreat Z-Hawk and have Laura heal him. Now I'm going to lure those axe users one at a time, because I'm not having Edward fight them all at once. Yeah, I remember in particular, this part was very risky on hard mode, because I needed to count out their ranges very carefully, and I think I miscounted once, and it resulted in Edward almost dying. He didn't actually die, but he almost did. That's why hard mode removing enemy ranges is extremely dangerous. So already things are starting to look a little bit up. Don't really want any of these 3 to try and fight stuff, but you also have to be careful about height bonuses when you're down here. Almost want Micaiah to kill off that Fire Mage, although I don't think they actually will. Let me just show Vika fighting. And as you can see here, yeah, Tormod has a lot of movement thanks to Celerity. And sadly, the main benefit of Tormod having Celerity in this game is that you can remove it and give it to other people. That is fire, isn't it? Yes, it's fire. And that's just enough not to two-shot Volug. It's actually called him Volug this time, not Volk. Well, I guess you were going for the weakness, but still, height advantage. Yeah, as you can see, the other phase is still playing. That's because there are NPCs in these cells. You guys aren't moving. You are smart, I see. That could be a problem because of that. Yeah, so I don't really trust Edward to not die to that. It's weird because I'm pretty sure these guys do move on hard mode, so... At least I know I've seen them move on it. Did I equip the Wind Edge? No, I didn't. I'm stupid. Oh, well. Will you move for Z-Hawk then? We also have a Wind Mage up there. And nice one-shot. can't say Wind Mage without thinking of Vasi, but I remember that title was always weird when he was just a giant floating eyeball monster. And then his actual human form appeared in Minish Cap, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense now. Although, in that game, he's a swordsman, so still the title of Wind Mage seems strange. Now, I think I've seen these guys jump down before, so just be aware of that. That's annoying, and I'm pretty sure Soft will just destroy you. And Tormod will also probably destroy you. Yes, he will. I could sacrifice for him, but... And then, yeah, Jill's gonna completely destroy you, so let's not do that. I guess I will just do this and hope that this is enough experience to give Mikaira a level up. She'll definitely be killing the boss, though. And now I'm remembering back to my hard mode place where I had this sort of big chain of people next to one of the cells up the top. Not quite enough, but still. Around here, because I was a bit worried about the archers, and then it turns out they don't move anyway, so I was worrying for nothing. Which does tend to be me when I play Fire Emblem games, quite often. But I feel like it's always best to be cautious than to have someone die. I think the shadows are done better in this game than they are in Path of Radiance as well. Though at least it's not that infamous thing in Pokemon Colosseum where Jumpluff's plumes are... Plumes? I'm not even sure how you describe those. And I think Sothis talks to everyone he can. Oh, I probably should have had Jill talk to one of them too. Can they talk to her? Yeah, they can talk to her. So let's show this conversation then. So we're not getting any info out of that, him there, and well, I guess I can kind of lure you, or I can go over here because I just want to show this conversation. Zeok's conversation with this guy is probably going to be a little more interesting, although this just really shows Jill's development because, yeah. Back when we first met Maureen in Path of Radiance, let's just say Jill wouldn't have gone on with him very well. But now she's totally fine with that. Something that I didn't mention all the way back in Chapter 1.5 is that a lot of people have brought up that it's just a great showing of Jill's development that's... that in this game, she's first seen... I think I'll open the doors later. In this game, she's first seen fighting side by side with Zehawk, who was a known Lagoo sympathizer. Just shows so, like, just how far she's come since the start of the last game. Let's go ahead and open this. And yeah, we have prisoners in here. Finally, we're seeing black armored Dane soldiers and are relieved to see them. You know, maybe Vika could go over and, or Vika, not really sure how to pronounce it, but she could go and fly around and open some of those cells. Although Nolan has only got the second door key and Boland just used his last one. Kind of thought you'd do something like that, and yeah, Aaron, not exactly good in the resistance department because he's an armor knight in pretty much all but name. And yeah, I think that's the first time we're seeing wind magic. And that's the minus 30 accuracy penalty from attacking at long range, which people in the comments did point out to me. Oh no. Well, looks like we're babysitting some people. Great. This is gonna be fun! At least that's a guaranteed one-shot. Now, please gain skills so I can bonus experience your speed up a little bit. I'm kind of dying to show off the way bonus experience works in this one. Good. So I think that's our first cap stat, although, actually, no, yeah. Yes, Edward's capped HP, so that was our first cap stat. But Aaron is now capped skill. So we can use bonus experience to try and raise his other stats. And let's see. That's still a little risky. I think Z-Hawk's going to have to run in and take out some of them first. With, let's go for the steal. And you didn't even stand a chance. I may have mentioned this before, but Adept is speed percent in this game, not skill percent, which is even better for Swordmasters. Speaking of skills that are speed percent, cancel here would be very effective. But could be a problem. Just don't want to blow this on getting too cocky with Edward here. But fortune favors the bold, I guess. Although, again, this is me. It's not like I'm favored by fortune ever. And, I take that back. I really take that back. Nice one. Windows doesn't even have an innate... no, it does not have an innate critical rate. That's its higher ranked version. And I don't mean the Storm Sword, I mean the even better version of it. Let's just say there's a very, very, very cool, final version of the Wind Edge, which I'm really looking forward to getting. And she doesn't have enough movement to fly up there. She's still doubling these guys, but yeah, as you can see, the power of height bonuses. Even Soth is having trouble. Makai doesn't do too badly against these guys, though, even though they do have perfect accuracy back against her. If I do that, though, I will need to get rid of that archer. And it feels like Nolan might not be my best shot at that. Because, yeah, if I attack with Nolan, then I'll need to attack from below if I want to finish him off, and not exactly that great of an idea. However, I could at least demo Vika. She's so... I forgot how tiny she was! Look at her, she's so tiny! You could barely even see her over the experience bars. I forgot about that. Oh yeah, and now to demonstrate something pretty cool, Bird and Lagoos have Kanto in this game. In fact, they're one of the few classes to have both Shove and Kanto. That does take up a lot of their capacity. Also, she starts with this. This is kind of a weird skill. I guess in some ways it does help you crit enemies more, but it doesn't really help most of the time. You know, now's one of those times I would actually kind of like for... how can you argue by jumping down? That's how you can attack Jill over there. I think I'll go for this now. But anyway, yeah, Bird and Lagoos have Kanto. I was distracted by how tiny Vika is. But one thing I like about her is that she's she's the first playable non-royal Raven in Tellius. And in fact, in general. I'll go there, and I guess I'll have Soth go near this guy, even though it's probably not going to do much. And yeah, Morim at this point is pretty broken. I don't like having him fight things because of reasons I said in his bio. It's not like he's going to see much use later in the game. And this is going to be pretty typical. Yeah, I thought so, but I at least tried. Neither of those mages can jump down and attack Jill, so I think I'll leave you here just in case. I don't think this guy jumps down, but even if he did, he wouldn't really be much of a threat to anyone, but still. Nolan has the other door keys, so Volo's going to go and grab those. Which is probably going to prompt this guy into attacking Volo. Okay, glad for that. Edward might have been at risk of dying if both of these enemies had attacked him. I love how enemy Myrmidons don't have crit rates against Edward now, though. But what I don't love is the fact that I am just doing under half your HP with one attack. And hello, Myrmidon. Are we gonna see Shriek here? No, Shriek is only indirect attacks. She's so tiny! It's just, it's weird. You can tell that I don't see Vika fighting very often, so that's why that took me by surprise, but I called that one too. She's so small. Well, we didn't see Shriek, but we did see Howl. Will we be seeing a dead mage even with height bonus? Yes, because Soth is just that good. At least for now. And thankfully, Micaiah doesn't get doubled. Fanny looks pretty cool with map animations. Her luck is complete overkill. Yeah, these NPC soldiers will tend to run for this door, it looks like. I need to finish you with this, because I don't think I'll be able to finish off the Armor Knight in one go. I really want Edward to level up once, because then he'll probably be capping skill and speed, and once he does... Let's see if he does. Okay! I can finally mention something that I've been holding off on mentioning until it actually happens. That is the worst possible level up you can get in Radiant Dawn. So, Radiant Dawn's level up RNG is actually rigged, so you will always gain at least one stat increase. People in the comments have probably already mentioned that by now, but I was saving talking about it until it actually happened. So, you can never get a no-up in Radiant Dawn unless you've capped everything. You'll always get at least one, and that's, Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the door opens after you kill all the enemies here. That's to let the NPCs out. Kind of interesting from both a flavor and a gameplay standpoint. But anyway, what I was saying was... Yeah. Yeah, Soth is probably going to have to go up there and, although I don't trust you to not attack Micaiah. I guess I can go for a Jill smash here. But yes, even if you hack the game so that you have 0% growth in everything, you'll still always gain one stat up when you level up. And that's why some people have done hacks, 0% growth hacks of Fire Emblem games as a challenge, and you can't do that with Radiant Dawn. Because of the aforementioned always gain at least one stat mechanic. So instead what they do is they, let me just see if Soft can weaken you. You probably can. So instead what they do is they give each character a 100%, they give the character 0% growth in everything, except for a 100% growth in magic if they're a physical fighter or strength if they're a magic user. That's the closest thing you can get to a 0% growth run in this game. It's kind of interesting the way they rig level ups like that. I believe this is the only Fire Emblem game to do this. But yeah, you will never get a no-up in this game unless you cap everything, like I said before. So that was very unlucky by Edward there. But at least he's capped 2 stats now, HP and speed, and that means it's probably fine for me to use bonus experience, also another door key. And here's a point where I'm wishing Nolan had the hammer. So that's the other thing that I find with this chapter. No matter who I give the hammer to, I'm always wishing that the other person had the hammer. Wait a minute. Yeah, I was freaking out for a second about you having a 100% hit rate from below, and then I realized, oh yes, paralysis means that you can't dodge. So I probably could have had Micaiah fanny you from below, but that was the same effect. Micaiah killed something and leveled up. So I'm still annoyed that Nolan isn't doubling you. But I can unlock this door now. We have another Daein soldier who's going to be happy to see us. In fact, speaking of family, Now might be a good time to mention the Dawn Brigade backstory, because it's not like there's very much going on in this chapter, and there's not that much that I can talk about. Okay, I have to have Tormod kill you now, I just realized, because otherwise you're going to die to the hand axe. Unless Nolan... No, he can't even crit, so I do have to have Tormod kill you. So yeah, the Dawn Brigade backstories. There's actually one other thing that I want to talk about first, and then I'll get into the Dawn Brigade backstories. So, I forgot to mention this on the preparation screen, but there is treasure in this map. It's right here. The bottom right-hand corner of this cell, one space to the right of it, right here, it's a Master Seal. So, another Master Seal for treasure in Part 1, which is kind of interesting. Doesn't really matter who Laura heals this turn, as long as she heals someone. So I'll just have Tormod blast you with fire. Literally, because I'll just be using regular fire here, because Hellfire is unnecessary. Yeah, Tormod doesn't gain a lot of experience at this point. Might as well send Maureen up here. Okay, Vika's still active. She'll be untransforming soon, though. You can't even rescue those soldiers. Yeah, weight 15, and she's only weight 14. That's kind of bad. No reinforcements yet, which is good. Okay, so let me just quickly get those backstories up. This was on Serene's Forest. These were all translated by, according to Serene's Forest, someone called The End, which makes me think of, Lost Dimension. But anyway, I'm going to now read to you the Dawn Brigade backstory. So, firstly, Nolan, and I'll do this while I'm unlocking some cells. So let's go ahead and unlock this cell here. Nolan was a successful merchant since a young age, but lost his fortune and status when betrayed by his associates. After that, he lost his faith in mankind, and without any hope, he started living as a tramp in the back alleys. At first, he thought the Mad King's war was none of his business. However, when he discovers that large amounts of his fellow countrymen's blood was being spilled due to the violence of Bethnion's occupation army, who had treated the country as if it was their own, Nolan regains his willpower through his desire to save them. So that's Nolan. Doesn't really have a lot to go on, but him being a fallen merchant is kind of interesting. Next is Leonardo. Son of a local noble, Leonardo lost his father and older brother in the Mad King's War. Yeah, if you play Path of Radiance, you probably killed them. I like to think that they died in the Battle of Talriga, just to make that chapter even sadder, because like it really needed to be any sadder. He became an orphan as his mother soon followed them. After Dayan's defeat in the war, the military school where Leonardo studied fell into the occupational army's hands. While everyone is being sent to the prison camps, and that's why I actually wanted to bring the backstories up now, because some of these soldiers might be some of Leonardo's comrades, he flees alongside a few colleagues. However, those colleagues are captured one after another, and Leonardo ends up being the last remaining one. When he loses his way and is cornered by the occupation army, he's stopped by a youth of his age who saves him. That was his first encounter with Edward, who would later become his best friend. So, that's actually pretty cool backstory on Leonardo there. Next is Edward. Edward was born and raised in the back alleys of Dayan. Never having seen the faces of his parents, he lived on bravely, never losing his cheerfulness and hope even though he was at the very bottom. During Dayan's war with Crimea, there was a rumour that skilled individuals were being recruited as soldiers regardless of their status. Based on that, Edward, thinking he could perhaps leave that lifestyle behind, started training in order to become skilled with the sword. However, Dayan soon lost the war, and that dream was crushed. Alright, just thinking for a moment. Because I don't want people to end up dying here. I sort of want Makai to get a little more experience as well. Eventually, the occupation army started the crackdown on the back alleys. Zihak might remain here to escort these NPCs, just in case they need him. But Edward's characteristic quick wit and nimbleness allowed him to skillfully run from place to place and keep on living. At the time, he saves Leonardo by chance, that's mentioned in Leonardo's backstory. In exchange for teaching the clueless Leonardo how to live in the underworld and ways to avoid his pursuers, so as in Leonardo was I wasn't even trying to get that, that just happened by pure chance. Leonardo, you know, being a noble, didn't really know much about life on the streets, so Edward had to instruct him in that regard. Edward is taught the basics of fighting, because, yeah, Leonardo was at the military academy, and the two quickly became friends. I won't go into Micaiah or Soth's backstories that are listed here, because they're kind of spoilers for later, and their backstories are explained a little bit. Yeah, this is Micaiah in a nutshell. Their backstories are explained in a bit more detail, not like in the game itself. But I like those backstories. It's a shame that none of them actually made it into the final game. But it's cool to see that the developers at least did have backstories in mind for the 3 initial members of the Dawn Brigade. I wish they found some way to work them in, though. So, like, maybe Origins of the Dawn Brigade DLC if this game ever gets remade? I feel like that could possibly happen. Like, I could imagine a chapter with how, like, Edward met Leonardo and them escaping through the back alleys. And yeah, eventually Nolan, like, ends up meeting those two, and Micaiah and Soth as well, and that's how they all form the Dawn Brigade. Micaiah, I think, came up with the name because she likes the dawn. I think that's literally the reason why she came up with it. And again, the original plan in development was for them to be called the Dawn Feather, which does make sense, given a lot of the bird motifs. You know, I guess I should make obligatory mention of something here. So, this is our first boss on a Seize Point. He's an Armor Knight with a lot of defense, and the Seize Point will heal him gradually every turn. This is the first opportunity for boss abuse in this game. And if you really are concerned with the Dawn Brigade not getting enough experience later on, you might want to boss abuse here. I think I have done it before. You can also boss abuse in one endgame, which is coming up relatively soon. We are pretty late into part 1 at this point. I don't think I'll need to boss abuse in this playthrough, but if you're on hard, you might want to, because you may need it. Experience is hard to come by on hard mode, no pun intended. That's, again, the main reason why I don't really like playing it, because part of why I play Fire Emblem 4 is watching the characters level up and gain experience, and that is taken away from you on the on some of the high difficulties that just really stifle your experience gain. I can at least move you here just to get a little bit of extra healing experience for Laura. And hi there, boss. I always found this guy's boss quote really bizarre. But anyway, this is the Storm Sword in action. You know, I've heard stories of people boss abusing this guy until his Storm Sword broke. That doesn't surprise me, honestly. That's more typical of you, although you're still gaining a lot more defense than usual. I actually forget if these guys are only worth bonus experience if they escape, but I might as well stall this chapter until I all escape just to see. That will probably kill my turn bonus experience, though. You know what, I probably should heal Micaiah. Just then I was thinking about some trivia of Micaiah's name origin, and then I realized, you know, I probably shouldn't do that because her name origin might be a little bit of a spoiler. I'll talk about that much later on. Annoyingly, this guy being a sword armor means that axe users won't be getting a lot of experience from him, but Aaron will be getting decent experience from him. Actually, critting you won't be the end of the world, so let's just do that. I should steal your vulnerary, because I have a feeling you're going to be using that soon, so I'll be doing that next turn while I wait for the NPCs to start running. Well, I mean, they've already started running, but they're gonna... You know what I mean. I'm sure you know what I mean. And yeah, as you can see, he heals from the Seize Point every turn, so you can boss abuse here if you want to. I was kind of hoping for a crit, but oh well. Yeah, they only need to get within those 3 squares that are that, Yeah, I thought that would happen. There are reinforcements on this map, but they only come on turn 10. And I think the NPCs are going to be free before the enemies even get to them. But just in case... Yeah, you're both hand axes, so Edward could go down there, and... Is there anyone else who can... Volog can't shove. I probably should have shoved with Volog first, but that's probably fine. Now let's do what I promised to do and yoink your vulnerary. Just so you don't heal yourself out of Micaiah Fanny range. But of course she needs to be the one to see, so if I have Micaiah Fanny the boss, it will take an extra turn. But let's see, yeah, Vika needs to go back, especially since there are archers incoming. Just in case I need some people down there, I'll send you. Jill can get into position as well. I think everyone else is fine. You might actually reach the NPCs. But this map should be over pretty soon. If even a bronze knife does 1 damage to you. Which is exactly as much... 1 damage actually kind of corresponds to Soth's mastery skill. Okay, I think... You're not quite out next turn. So, I will, in fact, need to protect you a little bit. Okay, 2 steel weapons. I think... Zehawk should be okay going here and using a wind edge. And we've got quite a few enemies down here, so might need to rely on Jill and or Tormod. At least it's a bit more experience for us. The Brave Sword has 40 uses. Might as well do this so as not to risk anything. Brave Sword plus Cancel is also a good combination. In this game, Brave Swords are only C ranked, and they've got as much might as a Steel Sword and have 40 uses. But I believe you only ever get 1 of each type of Brave weapon per playthrough, so once this Brave Sword is all used up, it's gone for good. We'll not be getting any more Brave Swords. And you might want to not break your Brave weapons before the end of the game, because let's just say they might be useful for something at the very, very end. I think I'm just going to go ahead and Fanny you right now, because I still have to take 2 more turns anyway. Well, I think you've already faced the consequences. Your entire garrison is pretty much dead. We're not going to waste any sympathy on you. Prepare to be disintegrated. That was the exact cap of 100 experience. You can't get more than 100 experience at any one time. Well, at least you gain speed there. Not that it's going to help. It sums up pretty much every, Neon boss's death code at this point in the game. Okay, Laura's going to level up a little more. Yeah, I'm going to need to count on Zehawk up there, although, yeah, I'm not going to be able to get Volog over there. You do have Anne Herb, and Maureen... No, neither of you have any Lagoo's transformation items. I could really use a Lagoo's Stone right about now. Please don't do half of his health good. Though I might need Adept and or crits here. Well, that's 1. I want that archer to be dead too. Yeah, despite being a pre-promote, Zehawk still gains pretty decent experience at this point. Yeah, this is not good for those NPCs. And I'm glad you dodged. I'm glad for a depth and a critical there as well, because I just realized that wouldn't have done enough otherwise. Oh, that's smart. You have to remember that sometimes. Alright, so there's one NPC there. I forgot about you. You must be the insurance policy in case I killed the boss. I might actually need to end this now. Because if I don't, I really don't see how I'm killing everyone here before Micaiah goes splat, unless Nolan somehow doubles you. He does, but he doesn't kill you, and the only way I can kill them is with Micaiah, and that will mean that she goes splat because she won't be able to seize, and then... At least I can get Nolan a little more experience, and Aaron too, I think. I still find it weird that, so Aaron's name was Brad in the Japanese version, and the Aaron with 2 R's from Shadow Dragon was, pretty much the same, but it could have been translated as Alan as well. So, I don't know why I guess they weren't thinking ahead to Shadow Dragon ever being localized when they localized this game. I mean, like, let's be honest, did any of us ever think that Marth's game would be localized? I was as surprised as everyone when, they announced Shadow Dragon, and... Yeah, Shadow Dragon might be a very basic Fire Emblem game, but I've actually turned around on my opinions on it lately. I like it a lot more than I used to, especially since it at least did a little more to... Well, I mean, I could do that. It at least did a little more to modernize the gameplay than Echoes did. Of course, it does have completely non-existent characters, but... And it does encourage you to kill off your own army to get side quests. I also think the Sage battle models are really cool in this game, because they actually do look like the people they are representing, unlike the Sages from Path of Radiance. Alright, so I need to make a choice here. I either... Yeah, if I miss either of those, Edward will die, and I don't think he really needs much in the way of... Like, I can probably just bonus experience him the rest of the way up to level 20 at this point. However, that's not guaranteed either. I'll still go for it, though. Because I could fanny the other armor and then just hope this NPC survives. Again, I'm not sure if they have to escape or if they just have to survive. Another thing that I probably should have looked up before starting my recording session. I mean, I looked up the treasure, I looked up the Dawn Brigade backstories, but I didn't look up whether these NPCs have to escape the map or just survive. Yeah, your stats are almost equal to Fiona's, and that's saying something. Yeah, you're getting doubled. You are getting doubled. And your stats are awful, so that guy's probably gonna kill you. Yeah, I should probably end this now, just in case the NPC thing is based on survival and not escaping. Because if I do end it now, it's at least a perfect NPC survival record. Let's just do that. So, what do you think now, Izuka? Oh, you're more concerned about the fact that we've brought Tormod along. Yeah, it might be. Hopefully, though, Dane's become a bit less racist since Ashnard's rule, and, Izuka's still being himself. And Soph is a great comeback here. And again, I'm making all the decisions for the prince, because I'm totally not evil at all. So what was that message that Tormod had for us? Investigation? What investigation? So it seems like Tormod has actually been working for Soth for quite some time. Yep, there's Ike again. And once again, Magai is still sassing over that. If she did, she definitely would have done something about it. And yeah, that confirms she was 10 back in Path of Radiance. Tormod and the Apostle didn't exactly get off to a good start, but they seem to be friends now. Of course it's the Senators. It was the Senators last time. Why did she not suspect the Senators immediately this time too? But yeah, no proof. Yet. I like how Soth actually did make contingency plans here and was smart enough to realize that the Apostle probably wouldn't let what's going on in Dayan stand. This is actually some pretty nice dialogue. It's kind of sad that you don't get to see these two interact very much because of Tormod's non-existent availability. Oh well. It's a lot like Elincia meeting her old friends in Path of Radiance. Yeah, Micaiah is definitely older than she appears. We learned this from Stefan's supports with Soren in Path of Radiance, I believe. Yeah, and Laguz can tell if you're a branded. They have this kind of sense, so now we've got some with us. I'm pretty sure Volg just didn't care, though. That's why he never said anything earlier. Okay, yeah, so prisoners escaped does count for extra bonus experience, but that one prisoner wouldn't have survived if I hadn't ended it there, so, yeah, pretty good amount of bonus experience at this point. So I'm going to be spending that in the next chapter. Which, yeah, 1-8 is, I think, my least favorite chapter in all of Part 1. That's going to be something. So look forward to that. I might end up struggling with it a bit.